This is Providence Television International, the game changer.
You're welcome to Providence Television International. My name is Ugbebo Ikekwa. On Saturday, the NFF and the Nigerian nation was thrown into mourning as we lost quite a great footballer. For those who might remember, the first time we were able to win the Unity Cup was in 1980. The footballer who passed on Saturday was the captain of that very squad. We'll talk much about him and who else to discuss this than a veteran broadcaster, serious sports analyst, Dr. Emmanuel Egariva. You're welcome to the studio.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great personal loss to me because I had many encounters with the late Christian Chukwu in my sports commentaries days from the 70s, I guess. And I suppose the viewers can feel it in my visage. It makes me really sad because when we are talking about heroism, this is one of the great heroes that this country has produced in sports. And I believe that we, as a station, we have a duty to pay tribute to him, a great star in his own right, who stood like a Trojan, really, across this country, bestowed the football space like a colossus. And I can say that anywhere because his team, Rangers International, was much dreaded. The picture you are seeing there was the football championship, the FA Cup in 1978, and Rangers played Benin Insurance. I was there in 1978 in the cup final back in Lagos at the National Stadium, and it was a very wonderful and memorable football match. I think I will talk about this later, but let us have a picture of Christian Chukwu as part of our tribute with a candlelight, and that's it. We are paying our tribute in a very significant way. We're asking the good Lord to rest him in peace. Christian Chukwu, 1951 to 2025, and 74. He was sick for a long time, really, and he battled his illness for almost 5, 6, maybe 7 years until he passed on. But this is what we have always been saying. But for Tedola, who came to his aid at the time, they could easily have passed on a long, long time. That's why we are saying that there should be a foundation for our sports heroes, not just in football, but in boxing, athletics, and all others, because they become helpless after some time, and they are left to the design of whatever it is that we hold on to in this country, and that is not too good for us as a nation. He suffered for so long before he passed on. But thank God he came back to life. Tedola did one or two things. And we are happy that he stayed up to about 75 years. That means that he held on tenaciously for about half a decade. So, but we want to say that he lived a good life. He played his part in this country. And the team he loved so much, Rangers International, was much dreaded all over the country. Rangers was like the old Arsenal of England, for instance. Much dreaded, much dreaded. You couldn't face them, and you went back home without a mark. All right, even great teams like ICC Shooting Stars in those days, Benin Insurance, Ayus Salam of Ilorin, Raka Rovers, Stationery Stores of Lagos, Julius Berger of Lagos, Leventis, they all dreaded Rangers International because of one man, Christian Chukwu. He could gather his boys, hey boys, come on, let's move into the front line. And that's what he always did. And they respected him. In fact, I think that's what he was given the nickname chairman. Yeah. Yes, his teammates respected him. And my good old friend, may so rest in peace, Enan Sokonkwo of Radio Nigeria, we were together in Radio Nigeria, always trumpeted the nickname chairman on the field of play. So he made his mark, there's no doubt about that. And he played for Nigeria. He coached Nigeria. He was a coach for so many years. And he also won. He lifted the cup. I hope you can see it there. lifted the cup. Yes, that's Shehu Shagari receiving the trophy back in 1980. Christian Chukwu, in 1980, we beat Algeria 3-0 to lift the cup. So it was a glorious moment, and that's a moment that many people will never forget. Yes.
Exactly. In your own vivid terms, can you recall that very particular moment that cup was lifted?
Oh, it was a great moment. It was a glorious moment that Nigeria, for the first time, were lifting the cup. And who lifted the cup? That's Christian Chukwu there. And who received the trophy? Shehu Shagari. It was a big image for the country there. Yes, particularly for Alhaji Shehu Shagari, who was president of the country. It brought back some very pleasant memories that we could lift up the cup after so many exploits without success. Okay, so but 1981 will always remember, and that is even 2 years after Christian Chukwu lost the cup final, the Challenge Cup final. People thought he had gone into oblivion. Yes, that's what people thought. After the loss to Bendel Insurance, they thought he had gone into limbo until suddenly he rose up again, gathered his boys, and it was. You remember people like Henry Nwosu in that team. I think Henry Nwosu was the youngest in that team. Kesima, Adokia, Masemeka, they were in that team. A wonderful squad, really. Beautiful squad. One of the best we've ever had in this country. And he was the captain, by the way. So that's it. We love it. It's a moment of euphoria. It was a moment of euphoria. And I think it's a moment we always love to remember.
Exactly. The NFF, just today, they paid their condolences.
Yes.
To the family. Coming to sports administration, what's your take?
Well, that was only necessary. Yes, it was only necessary. But where was the NFF when the man was on his sick bed?
My exact question.
Yes, where was the NFF? And a lot of our heroes were lost without NFF contributing anything. I mean, by way of support, solidarity support. I mean, in this state, for instance, we lost Ota. Okay, we lost Coach Bazoye, all right. We lost Shaibu as a national coach, all right. We lost Victor Odua, who was also captain of the Eagles in those days. It was after their death they would start to want to give state burial and that sort of things.
Yes.
Look at my good friend, Coach Zillian, who lost him some time ago. Unsung. Absolutely unsung. Yeah. But at their funeral, you'll see people coming from Lagos to come and pay tribute and all sorts of things.
Exactly, and then they'll look for one sports center to name him after.
Doesn't make sense as far as I'm concerned. Why don't we pay attention to them? Look at Eboigbe, for instance. Eboigbe was playing for Benin Insurance. But for Fashola, for example, the governor, and that's because Fashola also played football in his heydays. Yeah. He could have gone. At the point in time, he was totally blind. Look at Sebastian Broderick's. Broderick was totally blind. He passed on. Here was a man who led the under 17. You remember?
Yes.
Yes, Bade and the rest. He led them to China and won the trophy for the first time. Yes. Not just for Nigeria, for the African continent. But when he died almost in penury. Did not remember him. Unsung heroes. That's usually what happens. But we thank God that this wonderful gentleman, Christian Chukwu, lived up to his age, the age that we are talking about, the age of 74. Yes. Many below him just died, and that was the end. Okay, but I think that the whole nation has risen as one to pay tributes. Tributes from the presidency, tribute from Akpabio and the rest. Extolling his virtues, because he played selflessly for this country. I mean, these are not guys who are looking for money, just to wear the national colors of green and white. So it was, it's been a wonderful loss. I'm sharing the pains, because now I go back to 1978.
Okay.
Right. Challenge Cup final, FA Cup final, Bendel Insurance and Rangers International. I was in the commentary box. That was the entry of Bendel Insurance, coached by Alabi, ICN, for example. Look at the stadium. It was full to capacity. In fact, this will shock you, as early as 11 o'clock on the previous day, the stadium was already full in the night. In the morning of it, there was no entry point. Everywhere was blocked for the FA Cup final. The reason being that in 1976-1977, the two teams were here in Continental City were the Rangers and ICC. And these were in the semi-finals.
Yes.
Bendel beat ICC Shooting Stars in the semi-final, 2-0. All right? And many people, not me, many people thought that was going to be a walkover for Rangers against Bendel Insurance. In 1978, it was a great cup tie, one of the best I had seen in my career. That cup final in 1978 at National Stadium. In fact, a lot of boys who probably watched that match at the time will tell you up to today that's nothing to compare. There will be nothing to compare for years to come. Because you see, Bendel paraded, great stars. I think I can reel out the names here. Okay. We can talk about Felix Agboefo, who was captain of the team then. We had Agbo Onaji, who was in goal for Bendel. We had Kadiri Kana, Leotis Bateng, David Adiele, who was in defense with Kadiri Kana. Henry Ogboe, who was a terror. We call him Teka Teka. He was a terror in the defense of Rangers International. And we have Francis Monidafe, who was like the Rock of Gibraltar, for example. Of course, in Rangers, we had Christian Chukwu, who was a commander. He was the commander in the field. He was all over the place, and you couldn't penetrate Rangers. You could not, no matter how powerful the team was. Aloysius Atuegbu, blockbuster, they called him. Sima, Emmanuel Okala, of course, was in goal. Christian Madu, Ifeanyi Onyedika. These were heroes in their own right. And they played for Rangers. In fact, at the point, many of them played for the national side. But on that occasion, I still remember, I was on commentaries with Ernest Okonkwo, he's late now, and Tolufato Imbo. And I was there as a very young man. They gave me all the opportunities to also express my opinions and things like that. But I was part of the team on commentaries, and I enjoyed every bit of it, even though Ernest was sad because he was a strong supporter of Rangers International. But look at what happened. 3-0 in the final. 3-0. And Christian Chukwu said, where were these boys coming from? Coach Alabia said, gathered a group of young boys who were not particularly fabulous. But he gathered them because he knew what he wanted. He wanted to give Rangers a shock and a big surprise. And he did. 3-0. But that did not surprise people like us, because earlier on in the semi-final, Bendel had beaten ICC Shooting Stars by 2-0. Even with Shegun Odegbami, Felix Owolabi, and the rest there. Those were days when football was football in this country, when football was at its peak. And Christian Chukwu was one of the people who made it happen in this country. That's why I feel a great personal love, because I had an interview with him after that encounter, and he said it was going to be one of his greatest regrets. Yes, for the rest of his life, because they were humiliated after their continental victories. 76-77, back to back between Rangers and ICC Shooting Stars, Cup Winners' Cup, for instance. And look at it. Jim Nwombodo, I will always give that man, we have the picture there. Jim Nwombodo was the governor of Old Anambra State, and he did a lot for Rangers. He did a lot, awesome lot for Rangers. And that's why I think that his name too. I think he's about the only man standing of all the governors in the Second Republic. He must be an elderly person now, quite old, but I think he's the only one standing. All the others have passed on. Jakonde, Ambrose Ali, Ige, and the rest, they have all passed on. Rimi in Kano, they have all passed on. But I think he's the only one remaining. And I think that the death of a Christian Chukwu will put him down a little bit. I think so.
He definitely will. Coming to, we were taking that picture of Jim Nwombodo. You talked about him being a major sponsor of Rangers. We don't have any of such now in the Nigerian league. What could have led to that slant?
It's all about passion, I will tell you. Nwombodo was particularly passionate about Rangers. Anywhere they went, he was with them. But we don't find such people anymore. Rangers, they will play in Ilorin, he will be there. They will play in Lagos, he will be there. They will play in across the continent. It will follow them. Yes, it was synonymous with Rangers International. Yes, and all the great players we always remember him. Some we've lost some, obviously, but many of them still alive. We'll always remember Jim Nwombodo. Yes, and I say that with all my heart.
All right. Before we come back to sponsorship, because I'll still come back there. If we look at that same picture, Bendel Insurance Rangers, There's something that you actually highlighted. The crowd.
Yes.
The Nigerian league today, we can't. I don't think we can ever replicate that kind of
It's
crowd.
not possible. It's not possible. A lot of things are involved.
Okay.
If you want us to talk about
Exactly.
it. A lot of things are involved. First of all, where are the quality players
Okay.
in our local league? And we often, I think it's a misnomer really. They tell us that we run a professional football. I don't think so. We are not running professional football. At best, we are running improved amateur football, so to speak. Because what are the ingredients? What are the indices? The clubs don't have their own stadium facilities, all right? I'm not too sure if they have insurance scheme.
Okay.
I'm not too sure now if they have what do you call allowances for them on a regular basis, okay? I'm not even too sure if some of them have small academies all over the place, because in England you will find that, I mean, teams like Manchester and the rest, they will have small academies
yes.
that they will draw from.
Exactly.
You know, as the old ones are going, of course, they will buy players and that sort of thing. But they also have a reserve of young talents who are coming up into the main team.
Something like feeder outlets.
Feeder, yes.
Okay.
They have it in Real Madrid and
Okay.
all the other big teams. They have. In fact, you'll be surprised that most of the big teams you talk about now, they have players who migrated from that feeder team, yes, into the bigger team, effortlessly, seamlessly. We haven't got that, and we're talking about professional football. And then, of course, how much are you paying them? Peanuts. Where are the stadium facilities in this country? And I'll also tell you this, in professional football, you have people who come from abroad to come and play. If you look at countries around the North African axis, Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco, they have people coming from across the Mediterranean to come and play local football in those African countries. How many of such do you have in Nigeria?
Okay.
No. And coupled with that, the standard of play is very low. That's why when they play here at the Samuel Ugbemdia Stadium, you'll feel a sense of pity, because sometimes you're talking about just by 1,000 people, spectators. But by and large, you must situate that against, well, television has played a great role in this, really, because people are now used to Arsenal, they are used to Real Madrid, they are used to all the big teams in Europe. So that creates opportunities for them to watch better football. But we can develop our own to match them when you have quality players. Where are the quality players? In any case, we are talking of Christian Chukwu now. How many people have we replicated in Christian Chukwu? No. I mean, in terms of commitment, in terms of sanctity, of discipline. How many people can replicate Segun Odegbami? How many people can even replicate Henry Nwosu on the local scene? No, with skills. I mean, Tarila Okorowanta, these are boys who grew up here. How many of them? But we've forgotten about them. And I agreed with Christian Chukwu on one point, seriously on one point. He was an advocate of indigenous coaches. I am one of them.
Okay.
Yes, an advocate of indigenous coaches. He was a great supporter of that idea. But we have not given them ideas, or given them opportunities.
Okay.
Yes, we have not given them opportunities. And they have a lot to offer, if only we give them opportunities. Yes. That a coach does badly in one match does not make him entirely bad for the entire tournament. No.
That's quite true.
Yes.
That's quite true. I think, was it not in Tunisia that he led the Nigerian team to, and we came third.
Yes,
place.
he won the bronze.
He won the
bronze in Tunisia. Yes, he won the bronze. And they assisted Coach Westerhoff when Nigeria won the second AFCON title in 1984. That was en route to United States.
Exactly.
Where they played in the USA World Cup. So he has paid his dues, really. He has really paid his dues.
I'm coming back to sponsorship. Should sponsorship be left just for the federal government?
No. I've spoken strongly about this. It must be a public-private partnership thing. Yes, that's the scenario anywhere in the world. Okay? Government obviously cannot do it alone. But I suggested something the other day, that we can make some of the big players in this country, by players, I'm not talking about football now, some of the big players in the industry, captains of industry, can be encouraged to chip in something, even if it's 1% of their what they call turnovers at the end of the year. It is something. Plow it into sports development, because sports, a great unifying factor. It can also be a source of revenue, for our boys, not just in football, all over, in boxing and the rest. Let them have a foundation so that those who are wearied can have something to fall back on. I've trumpeted this. Seems to me nobody is listening. But one day, someday, I mean, I've often said that, God willing, this station itself will do something like that. Exactly. We'll have a foundation where we can cater to the needs of those who are on the margin of existence. I mean, we lost a player the other day, a coach, in Saple here, you remember?
Okay. Oh, yes.
Yes. We lost him, too bad. And it's been happening over time. Yes, it's been happening. How many can we even count? How many can we count? Those we have lost. Government can take up the responsibility of looking after their interests while they are still alive, not when they have passed on. When they are still alive, most of them have left families behind. Let's see what we can do. The families they left behind in terms of education for their children, and daily survival, urgent daily survival.
And so on a final note, what would be your take on football development in Nigeria?
Well, we must put square pegs in square holes. Most of our sports administrators, and I'm sorry to say this, and a lot of people have spoken about this openly and very sharply as well, that we need to have people who are experienced enough in sports administration. Sports administration is science, okay? It's science. You have to put 1 and 1 together to make 2. There's no guesswork. And it's planning. You have to plan. If we are going for the World Cup, look at it now. It's only recently we started jumping from one place to the other in preparation for the World Cup. Whereas, for countries that are more serious, immediately you lose out in the World Cup. It's held every 4 years. Immediately you lose out, you start the preparation from the next day. Yes. You go to the drawing board, yes. The next moment, you start preparing for the next World Cup. We think that 4 years, we'll still wait. But it's just around the corner. Usually it's around the corner. We don't start preparation until much later. And then we begin to blame ourselves. There's all sorts of recriminations and things. Oh, the coach has not done this, the players have not done that. We must prepare properly. That is what makes countries to win at major competitions. Yes. There is no shortcut to it. There's no shortcut. And you don't cut corners, by the way. You don't. So we must encourage our coaches, particularly our indigenous coaches. We must encourage the standard of our football in our local league, so to speak. And we must also encourage the organized private sector to chip in money so that we can develop to the fullest potential.
All right. Thank you so much. Viewers out there, I know that some of you are going to be happy about this news. Our sports program will be commencing anytime between this week and next week, but very, very soon. So keep an eye for that. As a game changer, that there will definitely be a change in our sports presentation. On this note, I want to say once again, thank you for coming to the studio.
Thanks so much.
And you too, thanks for watching. Please stay tuned.
Please, let's close with the picture again.
Okay.